People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven
So if you
when
look at
you're down.
the website, it's all about rubber because it starts with Rich and his husband about kink and romantic relationships and the link between the two, which is very interesting. Then there's Joe Chicago, the new Mr. International Rubber. And then there's also me as the last of four interviews following up on Berlin. Of course, also John was one of the four interviewees and about kink at Pride. So
Not in rubber.
no, that's why you're not on the home page anymore. That's rubber.
Yeah, I know that. I got cleared off after about 10 minutes.
Yeah, leather is so 2020, John.
What, pre-pandemic?
Rubber. And yeah, if you have any other suggestion of things going on or things, resources, anything, feel free to put them in the chat or for later. And with that, I give the screen to Hans.
Well, thank you so much. I am starting, as always, with a little PowerPoint. Because around this new year, there's always bucket lists, what all the things we want to do, and of course, the things we maybe should stop trying to do. There's a lot of resolutions every new year, and we often have the same solutions every time, like the same. And I hope that we can try things in a new way, perhaps maybe a bit smaller this year. But I hope we have good ideas, and maybe better ideas than just stopping. A lot of resolutions are just, I just should stop things, and basically that hardly ever works. I should stop drinking, smoking, going to chemsex parties, procrastinating. It's easy said, like I should switch this behavior off, and that's basically bullshit. There is no switch, and especially if you have a look for an on-off switch in your mind, and you look how brain cells try to reach each other and try to connect to each other's. That makes it quite clear there are no switches in our brain. There are configurations, there are things we get better at, there are things we're slowly losing as a possibility, but there's no switch, there's no on-off moments. And if you think of that and you think of, well, there's no switch, then perhaps better look, if you want to make your life different or better, or if you want to change things in your life, and often New Year's resolutions are things, I should change things, then try to think of dial switches, perhaps. Maybe even two switches, because our brain always has things we can do better, we can do more. There's a gas pedal and there's a brake pedal, basically. Often the gas pedal is brain, your brainstem, your emotional centers, and the brake pedal is more like the neocortex, where we don't do things. And those are both things we can practice and we can get better at. If I say I just should not whatever, I often say don't shoot yourself in the foot, and people often shoot themselves more than enough the whole year long. Actually, often the shooting and the ideas that you should be able to are often the reasons that we go to things that we're then later on not happy with. And I always like to think of what can you give yourself, what can you add to your life, how do you add life quality. And if you say I should just stop, I should just not do whatever, that sounds like it's normal. And of course, if I never smoked, it's normal not to smoke. But when it's actually special to do, to not smoke, I used to be a smoker. And it was special to not smoke, and it helped me when I could think of it as a gift to myself. For instance, pride is often something that makes you do things easier and better and more activated than the idea I should not, and the shaming that's often in it. And not doing things is most likely not going to happen. If every motorcycle driver knows that if I'm not trying to hit a certain tree, I will likely drive into that tree. And if I try to drive in this hole between the trees, there's way more chances that I hit this hole that I'm driving through. When we're talking about holes, a friend of mine is a golfer, and he says, if I'm not trying to kick the ball, to tip the ball in the sand, I'm most likely to end up in the sands. But if I'm aiming for the greens after the sands, most likely I will get where I aim for. So aiming for not doing things makes often things happen, the things we don't want to. So it's a bit of a thing that you could perhaps think about. What am I prepared to do to make it easier to not do things I would like to stop? What are things, if I do those in this year, that help me, get where I want to? And of course, the evaluation date will be next year. What would you like to, of course, because things are often, the things I don't want to do are often also the things that are nice. But what brings you quality of life on the long run? Make a lot of small steps, build on top of each other. And small daily routines help you to get there. And I'm often helping people to think in daily routines and smaller steps. So make it perhaps smaller in 22. Make it also more fun and not blaming yourself too much. Because if plans don't work out, say I'm on my work or in a factory and plans do not work out. If a manager doesn't supply the needed time and energy or resources to the workers, who's to blame? And often we blame ourselves as being the worker, that we're not doing what we should do. But we are not just the manager, we're not just a worker, we're both. So maybe your plans could be a bit smaller, a wee bit smaller, so you're more likely to reach them. Maybe you've got plans that are closer to your heart, and then it's not only willpower but also heart power that helps you get there. Often it's good to place things in buckets, and of course there's bucket lists. Don't shoot yourself, but make it more playful. Actually, it's often playing with automatic parts of our brain is often a bit like playing with trains and automatic reactions. If I've started one and I couple the next one to it, it gets easier done. And we can start with, well, I do brush my teeth, so what do I do after, right after? Well, let's do 3 push-ups, for instance, to just get you started. Or I take my shower warm, and then Well, end up with a cold shower to make my days, yeah, start more intensely. Um, don't go too much into the future, please, because science has proven quite clearly that if we live in the future all the time, even if we live in what is really nice, but in the future, people get unhappy. So try to make long strings of happy memories in the now, and you will think of them next year. Drop some things. Perhaps dare to say fuck it to these things I will always postpone. So why should I think of them, and why should I do them this time? Uh, I'm not going to do it fucking anyway, and just let it go and don't bother yourself with it, and get to the things you would like to and that give you, as said, quality of life. Uh, um, if you're not able to have yes to yourself, it's hard to say no to other things. So who's the person you say yes to in your life? And if you get to know yourself and you really practice the answers, don't say yes right away, but practice for this little answer. Yeah, let me think about that for about a while before you answer. And that you not say automatically, oh yes, I will, of course, and then later on end up with a full overblown agenda. Uh, um, and perhaps also practice a bit with, well, sorry dear, but I really don't give a fuck. If it's not important, name what is important to you, and don't keep doing what's not important to you. And of course, we're talking here about kinky talks, and what kind of kinks should be have a place in 22. What makes you go? What are the fetishes you want to explore more? What are perhaps connections you want to deepen so that it's more fun? Um, where can you be curious towards yourself? Or where do you want to go dark and explore things that are perhaps a bit out of your comfort zone? What holds you back? Uh, where do you apply brakes, and what are those brakes? What kind of things are you trying to that holds you back? If you have too much performance anxiety, your basically your body won't react with your actions. But often people find it kind of hard to have sex without the need to perform. Of course, I'm working with people that are having problems with dope and enjoying chemsex parties a bit too much. I'm not against chemsex parties. I'm not against sex part. I'm sex positive love and sex parties. But if dope and enjoying sex, if that's the only way you can enjoy sex, well, that's often not a match for a long term. So then I always work with people. What lessons do you want to learn from that dope? Do you want to relax more? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to have more longer intimacies? What can I learn from that dope? As I said, don't look to the end point in the future, and don't look in the rear mirror also too much. Take the route that gets you where you want to go, and look at the different steps in that route and the people that help you get there, and look at having fun along the way. My bucket list for 22 is to start an online sex positive online chemsex group for people interested. You can ask it here, or you can get to me online by email or something. It's not that also about you should be abstinent. That's bullshit. but we should address underlying issues, and well, there are different underlying issues for different people. Um, a thing I want to do, and if you know people that are interested, let me know so I can reach Michael. If you like to reports to support Kinky Talks, clicking on the donation button, and that's basically what I want to do for this year, is help to continue this and help Kinky Talks grow, and together with Adalberto and all you guests and the beautiful things we had to say, I hope this can continue. That's it for now. Have a good year.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange.